الثاني reading under the chapter of the rulings of difference between spouses and the matter of raja. If both of them disagree on the order of their occurrence, that is to say they are unable to agree on the time of completion of the waiting period nor the time of ruju', the correct opinion is to prioritize the one who has made the claim first. If she claims first of finishing a waiting period, subsequently he claims that he has done ruju' before the completion of a waiting period, then her statement is accepted by swearing in that her waiting period was completed before the ruju'. If he claims first have done the ruju' before the completion of a waiting period, and after a period of time she says, indeed you have done the ruju' after the waiting period is completed, then his statement is accepted after swearing in that he has done the ruju' before she completed a waiting period. If both of them claims at the time by her saying my waiting period has completed, while he immediately says I have done the ruju', or if she says claim of the completion of the waiting period immediately after he makes a claim of the raja', then her statement will be accepted if she swears in, and Allah knows best. Then verily all these matters that have been discussed, and due to the difference between the two of them based on the order of occurrence of the raja', when raja' comes before the completion of iddah and her iddah has not been completed before his raja', while both of them agreeing that her iddah has been completed. If both of them differs on the status of a waiting period, then verily her claim will be accepted if her waiting period is not calculated based on 3 lunar months. If that is possible for her, his claims will be accepted for the incomplete waiting period based on 3 lunar months. If she has reached the state of menopause or she does not get menstruation at all. These differences refer to the completion of a waiting period based on the calculation of 3 lunar months to the time of their talaq. The husband's statement is accepted on the basis of the divorce and its time. It is possible for her to deliver a child or undergo menstrual cycle, then her claims on the completion of her waiting period will be accepted with her swearing in. This is because she is entrusted with what is contained in her womb. Then, if she claims upon the completion of a waiting period, but is then found out that her waiting period is not possible to be completed, then her claims will be rejected and it will be accepted whenever possible. It is obligatory to ask her on the method of her purification of a menstrual cycle and her menstruation, and to make her swear in when there is doubt due to much corruption. The least possible duration for a lady to claim the pregnancy of her child is 6 months and 2 seconds from the time she was together with her husband after Nikkah. The least possible duration for a miscarriage of a formed child is 120 days and 2 seconds. If she claims to have a miscarriage of a piece of meat, a mudgha, when there is no human form, or where there is no human form, then the least possible duration is 80 days, 2 seconds. It is required for a midwife to recognize that there is a form of human on the miscarriage of the piece of meat. If she claims that a waiting period has completed, according to her calculation of her menstrual cycle, al-aqra, and she is divorced in her purity state, and if she is a free woman, the least possible waiting period for her is 32 days and 2 seconds. If she is divorced during a menstrual period, then the least possible waiting period is 47 days and 1 second. If she is a slave and she was divorced during a purity state, then the least possible waiting period for her is 16 days and 2 seconds. If she is divorced during a menstrual period, then the least possible waiting period for her is 31 days and 1 second. And if it is not known whether she was divorced either during a menstrual period or purity state, then she is considered as being divorced during a menstrual period, so as to be on the cautious side, and also because she is still in her waiting period by default.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Glory be to you, O Allah. We have no knowledge save that which you have taught us. You are the all knowledgeable, the all wise. Allahumma allimna ma yanfa'una. O Allah, teach us that which is beneficial for us. وانفعنا بما علمتنا, and allow us to benefit from that which you taught us. وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين, and increase us in beneficial knowledge. The author of the book Al-Habib Muhammad bin Salim bin Hafiz, he continues in discussing the raj'ah and the termination of the raj'ah. But now he moves away from discussing when there's a dispute between the husband and the wife with regards to it. He says, now what we need to consider is, after we've spoken about when there's a difference in terms of when they agree upon the time, when the iddah came to an end, they agree upon that when the iddah had concluded, but they differ when the raj'ah took place. And then we spoke about they agree upon when the raj'ah took place, but they disagree upon the time of the iddah. And then we spoke about when they disagree upon both. And he now says, he now says, and then we mentioned last week that أما إذا اختلف في الانقضاء وعدمه, when it comes to there's a difference whether the iddah is over or not, meaning now the dispute is, are you still in iddah or are you no longer in iddah? If it is that her iddah is not in months, then she is the one that is, then her view or her opinion is accepted, or her statement is accepted, because she knows when her period and when her clean cycle starts and when it ends. However, if it is with months, and he is the one's opinion that's accepted. Why? Because the months is based on the dates, and dates we look at when was the day that it was issued, and he would know best when the utterance took place and when the talaq actually fell and when the iddah started. So he says, أما, as for the da'wah انقضائها بوضع الحمل, as for her statement or her allegation that the iddah is over because of her giving birth, بوضع الحمل أو الأقراء, or on account of her cycle, her clean cycle coming to an end and she's starting a new menstrual cycle. حيث أمكن, where it is possible, فإنها المصدقة, where it is possible. What is the meaning where it is possible? It means where it was possible that she could have given birth. Where it's possible that she could have given birth. A female shar'an can't give birth to, can't claim that the iddah is over by giving birth to a complete child who is alive and who is considered to be legitimate if it happens before 6 months. Because that's the minimum period. That is the minimum period. And therefore he says, if she does claim that, then generally would accept her view. I gave birth. My iddah is over because I gave birth. My iddah is over because I had a miscarriage. Generally, it's her view that's accepted. لأنها المؤتمنة على ما في رحمها. She is the one that knows what's taking place within her womb. She's the one that's carrying the child. She knows when it came down, when she gave birth, when labor. She's the one that knows that. That is all based on the possibility that it could have happened within that space of time that she alleges. Meaning she mustn't allege a time that is impossible that a person could have given birth, or it's impossible that her iddah could have been so short. So now, what is the period? What is the period of imkan, the possibility? What is let's say, what is the earliest possibility? What's the earliest possibility? And he's going to speak about that now. Alright? He says, أما إن ادعت انقضائها لدون الإمكان ردت دعوتها. If she alleges that her iddah is over prior to a period where it is reasonably possible, then her claim is rejected. And it is accepted when it is reasonably possible. When it is reasonably possible, it's accepted. It is rejected when it is unreasonably possible. You can't. So what is that? He's going to speak about it now, but he said before that, وَيَجِبُ سُؤَالُهَا عَنْ كَيْفِيَّةِ طُهْرِهَا وَحَيْضِهَا وَتَحْلِيفِهَا عِنْدَ التُّهْمَةِ لِكَثْرَةِ الْفَسَادِ. He says it is a must. Not only the qadi, but even an alim. He must ask her about her iddah and how she calculated and when her iddah started, when she started experiencing menstrual cycle, when all of these things must be clarified. Why? He says because there's just too much people that are busy with funny business these days. And many times you get even funnier answers. You get either an answer where the person tells you, where it's clear that the person doesn't know what the iddah is, or a lady tells you, are you doubting? That is very, and so the imams, they would become very cautious, and they're almost like they don't want to ask. But you must ask. It's a duty for you to ask. Whether she gets now angry, whether she becomes sensitive. For example, like a discussion I have a lot with couples when they get married is mahar. And I tell them, but you can't. This is not a valid mahar. But I must want to ask this. Now, if I'm afraid of the female now becoming sensitive and deciding now, listen, I'm going to ask someone else to conduct my nikah, it's fine. Someone else to conduct the nikah. I can't conduct the nikah like this. I can't conduct. I must make sure it is the person who conducts the nikah, the alim, or whoever the wali is. He must make sure that all those conditions are complied. So you ask a female, are you married? No, I'm not married. Did your husband issue talaq? Yeah, we've been separated for long, for years. 10 years ago, been separated. Did he issue talaq? I don't know. But was one years money for only. In fact, I've never seen him for 10 years. He just walked out. Did he issue a talaq? That's the question. So that's an important question. Because if he just walked out, the fact that he just walked out doesn't automatically terminate the marriage. There's still a talaq that needs to be issued. And if he's absent or is missing, or you need to apply to the authorities in order for them to issue the talaq. But there needs to be a talaq. And your iddah is over. I got married again. But you are not, so it means also, you're not vacant. In Arabic, there's like a little translation now. She's not farigha. She's not vacant. It means she's occupied. She's occupied already in another marriage. She cannot enter into another contract unless that is severed, that is terminated. So that's why he says here, it is a must. وَيَجِبُ سُؤَالُهَا عَنْ كَيْفِيَّةِ طُهْرِهَا. If the imam or the wali doubts, then he must say, when did your iddah start? When was the talaq issued? What day was the talaq issued? And we'll speak about the iddah and how that is calculated. And was the talaq issued in a tuhr? Was it issued in a hayd? Was it in a clean cycle? Was it issued in a menstrual cycle period? So you can determine what is the duration, the minimum duration that she could have. Were you pregnant at the time when the talaq was issued? Were you not pregnant? What is the minimum duration that the iddah could have been? So to determine, is it possible that your iddah could have been over, or is it not possible? Shar'an, it's not possible. Now he says, وَأَقَلُّ الْإِمْكَانِ. So what is the minimum possibility? He says, وَأَقَلُّ الْإِمْكَانِ فِيمَا إِذَا ادَّعَتْ وِلَادَةً. First one, he speaks about pregnancy. Pregnancy means the husband passed away, or the husband issued a talaq, or a fasakh was granted. In whichever way, the marriage was terminated, and she was pregnant at that time. What is the minimum duration? He says, وَأَقَلُّ الْإِمْكَانِ فِيمَا إِذَا ادَّعَتْ وِلَادَةً وَلَدٍ تَامٍ. If she alleges that she gives birth to a complete, full-born, meaning there's nothing wrong with this. It's not a stillborn, or it's not a miscarriage, it's a complete human being. كامل العين. The minimum is 6 أشهر عددية ولحظتان من وقت اجتماع الزوجين بعد النكاح. It is a minimum of 6 lunar months or calendar months. عفوا, not lunar. 6 calendar Gregorian months from the time of them consummating the marriage, and another lahzatan, 2 moments after that. So 6 calendar months and 2 moments from the time of nikah and from the time it was reasonably possible that they could have met each other. What does that mean? They never met each other. The husband was present. Luister gou vir my, né? Listen, then you just tell me if I'm on the right train of thought. The husband is present. The wali was present. Say the guardian, say the father. They got both of them were present. The marriage was conducted. The witnesses were all there, and the nikah went through. But they never met each other. They never met each other. The wife was in Bredasdorp, and he was in Saudi. So they never met each other. Her nikah was put through. Is it valid first or not? Valid. Because the wali was there and the man was there. She doesn't need to be present at the time of the nikah. Right or wrong? Does she need to be present? She don't need to be present. You agree? She don't need to be present. The nikah went through. But she was still in South Africa. He was still in Makkah, mathalan. He only completed his Hajj a month later. And he comes back. A month after the nikah, he was in ihram. It's not complicating. So he was not in ihram. Then he went into ihram after he performed the nikah. And then he got married, performed the nikah. He only got back a month later after the nikah contract. After a month, they were together. A month later, they are together. And 4 months, he issues the talaq a month later. So from the time of nikah, 2 months in, he issues the talaq. And then 3 months later, she says, my iddah is over, and she gave birth to a full-born baby. She says, 3 months later, iddah, you saw in the iddah, no, my iddah is over. Yeah, yes, a baby. Possible or not? Why? It's not, it's how much months there? Three plus 1. Yes. That's 5 from the time of the nikah. But how many months from the time of them possibly being together? 4 months. So he could have only consummated the marriage a month later, because that's when he came. So it must have been from that time of consummation. You calculate 6 months and 2 moments. Verstaan? Why 6 months and 2 moments? Because the minimum period of pregnancy is 2 months, 6 months. And the 2 moments is the moment, the first moment is for them being together. It took a moment to make her pregnant and a moment to deliver. As the minimum. The minimum. Meaning you must carry a minimum of 6 months. And a moment, obviously it doesn't take moments. But we're just saying that's why you understand now why we're saying the least possible time. We're working on the minimum possible time. It doesn't take a moment to make to fall pregnant. Nor does it take a moment to give birth. But assuming if we were to bring it to the lowest, and it took a moment, And miraculously after 6 months, whoop, there the baby just slipped out. That the minimum period is 6 months and 2 moments. Huh? Must I explain it again? You can explain it to your husband. Can you explain it to him? 100%. Okay, let me just do it one more time. Then you must explain to him when he comes, when you get home. So we're saying, if she alleges, again, if she alleges that she gave birth to a full born, a full child, what do they call it? A full born. Not full term, a full human being, a child. We tell her that the minimum period that you can allege that is 6 months and 2 moments. The minimum period you can allege that is, when did you get married? She say, Allah, Shaykh, I got married the 1st of January. I got married the 1st of January. And when did you give birth? Shaykh, you know what? I actually gave birth June, all right? The 1st of July. The 1st of July, I gave birth. On the 1st of July, I gave birth. Tell it. Huh? See? You say yes. You see, there, brought an important point. He says, when was the marriage consummated? If they only consummated the marriage 3 days later, the 3rd of June, the first night I was tired, second night for Hajjis, third night we went on honeymoon. So when is the imkan ijtima? Actually not. They say they don't speak about when they say when it is possible. So if they came together, it is assumed that it is possible that they could have been together. So we say when they were possible. So unless they were separated, if they were together, it is imkan ijtima, the possibility of them being together. Unless they both confirm and they say, Wallahi, the first night was nothing, the second night was nothing, it's only a week later. Mathalan, here's an example of Adam Imkan al-Ijtima, impossibility of being together. They got married and the female had a haid. She fell out the 1st of January. On the day, the morning, she fell out. When he got the brace come, it was red. It was red robot. The 7th of January, she became clean. If we take it that her average cycle is 7 days. 7th of January, she became clean. When is the first that they could be together? The 7th of January. So you must calculate on the 7th of January. The 1st of July, 1st of July is, the earliest would have to be the what? The 7th of July, no? Or the 8th of July. Any day in this, any moment within the 7th. Naam. So the 6th of July would be the end of the 6 months. And any time after that, just calculate 2 moments. Possible, then it would have been Iddah would have been over. That is if she alleges that she gave birth to a full child. And obviously this, otherwise, what if it's not? She did give birth. What if she did give birth and it was before? Say it was under 6 months. It's a full child. Child can't be attributed to him. Child means that was either an illegitimate child from him or it was someone else. It's not his son. She can't say it's his son. It's her son, but she can't say he's the father. Unless it was? No, even with Walid Zina is not his son. It's still not his son. An illegitimate child don't get attributed to the father. And that's why the illegitimate child can't inherit from the father. He only inherits from the mother. The Prophet said, Al-waladu lil-firash. any child that comes from an illegitimate marriage, illegitimate relationship, gets attributed to the mother and not to the father. You can't say it's his son. طيب وفيما إذا ادعت ولادة سقط مصور فأقل الإمكان 120 يوما ولحظتان. Okay, now she says, you know what? I actually didn't give birth to a child. I had a miscarriage. Okay, that miscarriage that you had, was it a full? Are you focusing? That miscarriage that you had, was it a full? Child, full human being? You see, yes. مصور, there was features, alles, there was hands, nails, everything was full. Then they say the minimum possible time for that is 120 days and 2 moments. From the time that it was possible for the husband and the wife to come together after the contract. 120 days is how much months? 4 months. The earliest you can have a form, call it a fetus. So the earliest you can move from the embryo stage into the fetal stage is 120 days and 2 moments. Else, if you're alleging that I gave birth to a full fetus with all the features, everything, and it is before that, say no, can't be. أقل مدة الإمكان. وإن ادعت, and again we explained the 2 moments, right? وإن ادعت ولادة مضغة بلا صورة. However, if she alleges that it wasn't a fetus, it was just an embryo, what they call in today's medical terms embryo, we call it a mudgha. Mudgha is a chewed flesh. And the reason why it's called the chewed flesh is because initially it resembles that the chewed flesh before Allah Ta'ala creates features from that piece of flesh. So it moved from the clot, the piece of clot of blood stage into the embryo stage where now there's flesh into. From there Allah Ta'ala then says Allah Ta'ala created features for it, and that is the fetal stage. وإن ادعت ولادة, if she alleges that she gave birth to a mudgha, which is just a piece of flesh, بلا صورة, without a visible image, فأقل الإمكان, the minimum duration is 80 days and 2 moments. The minimum duration is 80 days and 2 moments. This is without an image. This is an embryo with no visible image. 80 days and 2 moments. And they say, ولكن الشرط, however it is conditional. If it is a mudgha, if it's an embryo, and there are some sort of features to it, then there must be a shahada of a midwife. And the minimum is 4 midwives. Must testify that was the asl of an Adami. There was some features, even if it's partial, of an Adami, else the iddah would not be over. What is that? It could be anything. Female, maybe she's pregnant at time and then she has they bleed, or stuff comes down. But you can't say that was a mudgha of which there was some features unless there is a testimony by 4 midwives. Unless a testimony by 4 midwives. When they say shahadatul qawabil, the testimony of midwives, يشترط 4 in this instance. 4 منهن. الله أكبر. وإن ادعت انقضاؤها بالأقراء. However, if she alleges that her iddah came to an end بالأقراء. What is أقراء? Yeah? What is not menstrual cycle. What is it reading? Calculation of menstrual cycles. لا خطأ. wrong. Change that in your book. The calculation of clean cycles. That's the incorrect translation. إن انقضى ادعت انقضاؤها بالأقراء, if she alleges that her idda came to an end with clean cycles, فإن كانت حرة وطلقت في طهر, if she was a free person, a free woman. A free woman means someone who is the opposite, who is the opposite of a slave. This is where slavery was still, where it was still prevalent, because with a slave girl, the duration is half of the duration of a free person. If it's a free person and she's given her talaq, and her talaq was given in a clean cycle, which we know as talaq sunni, the sunnah talaq, فأقل الإمكان, the minimum duration is 32 days and 2 moments. Is that what the translation is? No? So again, if she alleges that her iddah came to an end and she was min dhawatil aqra', she's a person, a female who experiences menstrual cycles, and her iddah was given during her clean cycle, then the minimum time she can allege that her iddah came to an end is 32 days and 2 moments. Why 32 days and 2 moments? Can we work it out? 32 days and 2 moments. So he gave her the talaq, and as soon as he issued the talaq, she was so clean. He's anti-taliq moment, and when she looked again, he fell out. So this is the moment, the first moment. And then she got her hayd. And the minimum duration of hayd is how long? A day and a night. A day and a night is 48 hours. 24 hours, ma. A day and a night, 24 hours. So the minimum hayd is 24 hours. A day and a night. So that's 1 day. Let's call it a day, as in a day and a night. And then what's the minimum duration of clean? 15 days. 15 days. How much is that? 16 days. 16 days with nights. And then she falls out again. That 15 days is how much? The second cycle, no? So she needs to do another clean cycle. Then she falls out again for a day and a night. Minimum hayd. How much is that? 17. And then she's clean, which is her third clean cycle. 15 days is how much? 32. And the first moment of her being clean is 32 and 1 moment. And then the next moment of her falling out is 32 and 2 moments. 32 days and 2 moments. If she says, my iddah is over, you must tuddiqat. Understood? Three clean cycles. Now he issued the talaq, she was clean. She was clean for a moment, she was clean, and then she fell out. Understood? Tough? Understood? The ladies supposed to understand this easier, but they don't understand. What? I think I didn't explain from a men's perspective. You understand it? All right, so it all boils down to what is the minimum, what is the iddah of a female first? 3 clean cycles. So we need to calculate 3 clean cycles. Within that, what is the minimum time that you can calculate that a lady can actually have 3 clean cycles? 32 days and 2 moments. How 32 days and 2 moments? The first moment is he issued the talaq, and then she fell out immediately. That's the first moment. And then she has to fall out for 24 hours, for 1 day. And then she has to be clean for how long? Minimum 15 days. That is 16 days. And then she falls out the minimum duration again of a day and a night, 24 hours. That is 17 days. And then she has to be clean the third time, which is the last time, 15 days minimum. 32 days and 1 moment. And what's the second moment? The moment when she falls out. The moment when she falls out. As soon as she falls out, she sees the blood. Idda's over. Let's just finish inshallah. وإن كانت أما, if you say slave girl, وطلقت, and she's given طلاق in طهر, in a clean period, the minimum is 16 days and 2 moments. Because if she's divorced in her menstrual period, فسبعة وأربعون يوما ولحظة. Okay, now she says, I get hayd, but my husband gave me talaq in my menstrual cycle. I had hayd when he gave the talaq. What is the minimum duration there? How much? 47 and a moment. 47 days and a moment. How is the 47 days and a moment calculated? Let's work it out. He issued the talaq, she had hayd. Alright, and then she immediately fell. She fell out. She was out. So he issued the talaq at the end of the hayd, and then she became clean. It's not clean for 50 days. Alright? Then she, so that's 15 days, and then she falls out for 1 day. That is how much? 16 days. I'm just going to calculate the clean cycles. So 16 days. And then she is clean again. 15 days. How much is that? 31. And then she falls out of hayd. 32. And then she's clean again. 47. Right. 47, that's the minimum. وإن كانت وطلقت في طهر فأقل من كان 16 يوما لحظتان. If it's a slave girl, then 16 days and 2 moments. وإن طلقت في حيض, if she is given her talaq in hayd and it's a slave girl, in 31 days and ولحظة. We won't go into this detail. ولو لم يعلم هل طلقت, and if you don't know, was her talaq issued when she had a hayd or when she was clean? You ask her, she says, I actually can't remember. You ask him, I actually can't remember. Was she clean? Was she حمل على الحيض? Then you take it as though talaq was issued during the hayd, not during the clean cycle. Why during the hayd? Even though the default is that you're supposed to issue talaq in a clean cycle, not in a hayd. Why? Because precautionary. You can rather have your iddah a little longer than having your iddah terminating earlier and getting married to someone when you're still under iddah with that person. So precautionary, once you assume that the talaq was issued during the hayd, then automatically iddah is a little bit prolonged, and that is then a precautionary measure. Question. الله على سيدنا محمد والحمد لله رب العالمين.